So 1,780 kilograms light ship this boat, and then you add the weight of the two 300 horsepower V8 Mercs, and we've got 380 litres of fuel total capacity. So this video is going to be a bit of a demonstration. We've got some variable conditions, as you're about to see. We got like a whole load of fog blew through here earlier on today, so it's going to be the best we can manage out in some funky conditions, some eerie conditions, and then we're going to wind the boat right up to her full speed potential and bring you guys along for the ride. So we're going to demonstrate as much as we possibly can that hopefully you will find useful when you're investigating what is a bit of a serious piece of kit. Keep watching. So you may or may not be able to tell, it's incredibly foggy out here right now, guys. So I'm just going to drive sensibly. I probably won't break much more than about 20 knots speed. I'm going to navigate. There are fog horns going off. There are ships navigating through the channel and exiting the heads that we cannot see. And we're just going to find some waves. You will see the breaking waves coming into view on the left-hand side pretty soon. And I'm just going to head out a little bit, find a bit of swell. It's going to be slack tide soon in about 15 minutes, but this is one of the most dangerous stretches of water on the coast when it wants to be. So having a capable boat, having a solid boat and having a deep V hull is going to allow you to navigate stretches of water like this when you're sensible. When Mother Nature allows you to navigate. So you'll see in a second, I'm going to be heading just out in this general direction, going through a little bit of swells. We're going to see the water really change its consistency as the tide moves in funny ways, as it does in this part of the world. And the land will probably, or it may, disappear. So we'll just be straight onto navigation using the chart after that, because we won't be able to have any visual sight lines. Just holding at 21 knots. Obviously, we can do a lot more. We'll show that in the other part of the video. That's not what we're about at the moment. Now we're getting into some very confused stuff. I note that the spray is going out to the side and the hull just feels super cushy. Cushy is the word I'm going to use, coming through this messy, confused stuff. Look at this. Look at what, you know, it's incredible. We're in 17 meters of water. There's a hole a little bit further out here where it goes to 70 and I believe even 100. And I can see these surges of water through here at the moment. And I've got breaking waves just out here off my port aft quarter. It's moody. It really is moody. This could be a scene from a horror show or from like one of those shipwreck movies that you see in Hollywood. Okay, clear all around. I'm losing sight of land. I can actually feel some of this tidal movement underneath the hull. I'm just going to do a nice steady turn to starboard. Moderate heel angle, little whirlpools. Oh man, in my younger, more stupid days, I've actually exited these heads when I wasn't supposed to. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I was on a 50-foot sailing yacht and I was sailing to Sydney. It was a 4 or 5 day sail. And as soon as we got out here, middle of the night, we exited and the tide was doing its thing. And look at that. Woo, we can see some of the activity. And all of a sudden, we started seeing breaking waves coming from multiple directions, breaking into our boat, and whirlpools bigger than our 50-foot sailing yacht. We just had to put the hammer down, we had the motor on, and get the hell through that mess of a situation. And we got through, we survived, but we learnt our lesson. It's probably 20 plus years ago now. Don't mess with Mother Nature was the lesson. And be on a sensible and a capable hull. That's another good little lesson there. So I'll just increase my speed, got some swell, got some chop. This thing's just absolutely eating it up. What are my takeaways from this? These engines, these Mercs are incredibly quiet. This hull, the 26 degrees of dead rise, this thing's going to eat up so much random chop the different weather situations are going to throw at you. I'd be very happy to treat this boat kind of like a ute. You know, if you want to load some surfboards up, if you want to put some spear fishing guns, or if you want to put some dive tanks on this boat and go somewhere, head out there and do some cool stuff, I believe this would be a good platform to do that on, because it's so much more rugged and it's so much more adventurous, is that the word? Practical might be the one I'm going to use, than many of the ribs that I've used on my channel that are, to be fair, much more designed at just creating a luxury experience behind your big boat. This feels like it's more than that. That's my takeaway from that little piece, but we're going to go and find some flat water, hopefully with some sunshine and not this thick fog, and we're going to have to put these twin 300s to the test because this is the maximum horsepower available, so why wouldn't we? So we're back in some more manageable conditions now, guys. The fog has mostly lifted. We've got some cool cloud around, the conditions are calm, the tide is flowing, and this will be a much better location for me to test the speed out and have a bit more of a chat to you about things like fuel flow. So let's do that. Let's just, now that we can navigate without having to look at the chart, I'll just get the boat cruising at what is a slow cruise. Now let's just wind it right back. Let's just wind it right back. So the super slow 20 knots, which I was doing before in the rough water, let's just get all the way back to there, because you could definitely run this boat with a single 300, guys. I'm just telling you right now. We've got the twin 300s. It's blisteringly quick. We're going to show you that, but right now with the twin setup, 2,450 RPM is giving us 20 knots. This is a tidal zone, so that's not going to be millimeter accurate, but it's giving a 20 knot speed over ground and a fuel flow of 15 litres per side. 15 litres, 30 total, being a twin engine. Now let's wind it up to 30 knots, which for most people, for most boats, is going to be top speed on many sports cruises or a fast cruise on many boats. But on this boat, it's just a slow cruise. So coming up to 3,200 revs, 3,300 revs, the engine noise is just nothing. It's just absolutely nothing. And we're seeing just over 30 knots, 30 and a half knots, and I'm seeing a fuel flow of 25 litres per motor. So that's 50 litres in total, which is pretty cool. I've got a couple of fishermen around, so I might just navigate my way down and around so I don't piss off any of these blokes. What I will do is increase my speed as I go through a turn out to starboard after hooking around, and hopefully you're enjoying this beautiful clear water. It's so clear, it's like the Mediterranean. It makes you want to jump in, but I tell you what, it's the middle of winter here in Melbourne. You do not want to get in this water right now. Coming through at 30 knots, increased speed. Look how beautiful and clear that is. Oh, doesn't make you happy. Cool, all right, 3,500 revs, 3,700 revs, 3,800 revs, 35 knots and climbing. Give us some more speed. The 26 degrees of dead rise is noticeable through the turn. 4,200 revs, a little bit of engine trim up now. I've got an easy cruising speed or fast cruise, 39 knots. Let's give it 4,200. I'm shivering. Okay, 40 knots. 4,200 to 4,300 revs gives me 40 knots cruise speed, and I'm burning around about 40 to 45 litres per hour on each motor, that is. So that's a total of 80 to 90 litres total. Pretty cool. You're going to eat up some miles at that speed, but we have more. We have more to play with. So let's do that. I'm going to turn the boat. So, as I was saying, the 26 degrees of dead rise, you really should wear this safety strap on this boat until you know what you're doing. We have so much speed, particularly if you fit it out with the twin engines. We've got so much speed capability. Feel the boat hooking through this turn. The bloody thing just grips. She just grips. And if you turn it too aggressively, she's going to grip so much you could eject yourself off the side of the thing. You could really get yourself into some mischief if you didn't know what you're doing. Okay, let's increase speed. 45 knots and climbing, 5,300 revs and climbing, a little bit of engine trim up. Okay, that's full throttle, 52 knots, 5,600 revs, a bit more trim, a little bit of a chine walk there, 54 knots, 55 knots, a little bit of a trim up, 94 litres, a little bit of a chine walk. I can feel the tubes, slowing it down, settling it down, just settle that down. I got a couple of waves from the side which introduced a little bit more activity there. I think that was 55 knots until I had to start concentrating on the navigation. So let's just go through this turn and we'll do it again. I'd be just so happy to treat this thing like the Ute of the sea, because this 26 degrees of dead rise is noticeable. I'd be so happy to take this through a lot of chop. Let's just do that one more time. Not only because I was enjoying it, but I want to just double check my numbers. Oh yeah, okay. Full throttle, trimming up, 47 knots, 49 knots. Okay, now she's boogieing, 52. 5,700 revs, 95 litres consumption, 55. We can do 56 knots on this thing, but I think at 56, you really want to be in totally flat water because she gets a little bit of a wobble on her. I would say max this thing out at about 53 to keep you and your family comfortable. You do feel the tubes dampening the boat a little bit. So yes, she gets a wobble at that really high speed, but the tubes are dampening it down a little bit, and just control your speed. Feel the boat like you always should. Okay, let's hook it around again and just play with some turns. Yeah, lean into that turn, feel the boat grip. She just goes and goes and goes. Look at that. I am in control. I'm turning at 39 knots, guys. It's deceptively quick. She doesn't lean a great deal. She leans moderately into the turn. I'm doing these turns at mid 30s to 40 knots. That's at 37 knots there. Look at the level or the angle of the horizon through the camera. She's not leaning too greatly. Wow. Dry, smooth, rugged. This is more than just a luxury rib. This is a luxury rib that you do stuff with. Isn't that cool? All right, we're going to go into the dock and I'm going to play with this joystick because I'm not always a fan of these Mercury joysticks, but I am aware that every joystick behaves differently depending on the hull you attach it to. And I did have a go with this one this morning, and she responded quite effectively. So something's going on there. We're going to have a little play with it alongside the pier over here, and we'll see what it's all about. Check in back soon. Okay guys, so I'm just approaching the Sorrento Pier, and once again, pay attention to this absolutely exquisitely clear water. This place is just a little paradise. But we're surrounded by moorings. Everyone's vacated for the winter, and you know, lots of things to run into essentially. And so a boat like this, if you're going to hand it to your kids or a partner that perhaps hasn't got a lot of parking experience, it's very forgiving, basically. Tubes, hopefully that's a no-brainer, and that's, you've already worked that out, but it just gives you a lot of wriggle room. But what we do have on this one, because we're a twin engine setup, and it might be of interest to some of you, is the joystick. So what I can do, I can bring the throttles back to neutral, and I can actually just grab the joystick and activate it. See that? So I'll put a little bit of aft momentum on the joystick, and she will immediately take command. So you can just spin the joystick like this. So if you just look at me there, I'm just doing a full 360, which is super handy. And what's even nicer is it has the ability to side slip the boat quite effectively. So I'll just get her back here. I want to just get it close to the dock so you've got a reference point, but I'm just going to stop the boat, and then I'm going to just side slip it. I'll just straighten it up there. And I'm just going to just side slip it towards this dock here so you've got a reference point. But honestly guys, this is if you played a video game before, and if you just focus your attention on your final destination, you can see my eyes are locked in to the final destination. You can then just use your hand control on the joystick, as you probably did with your Game Boy or your whatever toys you played, and it's not too complicated. You know, if you get a wave like I did just there, wants to throw your bow, you can do some adjustment. And on this particular boat, I'm liking the control that the Mercury joystick offers. This is a light boat comparatively to many boats you'd see on my channel. So the ability for the joystick and these twin 300 V8s to immediately give us some support is evident, because the boat will react in quite a short amount of time. Some of the bigger, heavier boats, you do you put an input into the joystick, the engines are working, but not a lot happens because there's more mass, and it's working a little bit harder. So then that can then throw your mind a little bit, because your hand's doing an input to the joystick, but nothing's essentially happening. And so that just takes a little bit of getting used to. But look at this, I've just got all of this control. I love it. So if I wanted to come in, side slip it like this. A boat like this is also good for picking up people from the bow. You can do that. Or if you just wanted to hold position, you can also do that, because we have what's called a sky hook, and I can just press that there. Then if I wanted to take my safety off and actually leave the helm to go and get some lines and some fenders sorted, I have the capability of doing that. The boat's actually just going to hold me in position using GPS connected to the satellites. All very useful. I like it. So this, guys, is actually a Sorrento strop for everyone to come in and tie up alongside this beautiful pier down here in Sorrento, Victoria. This is a super wonderful place to be. And the reason why you do this is because the tide flows one way or the other, and you basically hang off and let the tide pull you away from the dock. At the moment we're at slack tide, so we have a line just secured to a mooring just aft of us, just to keep us in good position. But it's a perfect opportunity to talk to you about the design of the bow here. As you can see, we've got this footstep here, which is really handy for stepping off and doing this. And I know lots of you guys in Europe are going to be doing the same thing. So I'm utilizing this cleat here to get my line through the bow roller. You see they've also incorporated the navigation lights into the design here. That all kind of works. It's nice and solid. But our anchor, it's actually deployed aft of this area here. So we can come in close to the dock and we're not going to wallop the anchor into the dock, is what I'm trying to say. Pay attention to this design here, because if you have a mooring, that line is going to be coming up and following this approximate angle. So that's what's going on just there. But I'm just going to quickly drop the anchor. It's operated from the helm. You have a safety that you've got to check that has been released. I have just done that, and it's a simple up and down, like so. And then I'm gonna there you go. It's as simple as that, guys. But that's the boat. That's the Highfield Sport 900. So if you are trying to compare this boat with other ribs, go ahead and do that, but ask yourself, what is your mission? I always ask you guys to ask yourself that. And the reason I say this, I discovered this brand through my yachting mates over the last 10 years or so. The kind of guys who would always buy these Highfields were serious yachties. The guys who, at the end of their boat life, they all seem to end up buying a Palm Beach. But the thing about yachties is they're quite practical in the way that they approach their powerboat ownership, because they are going to use their boats in such a way very regularly, but they're also going to use it perhaps slightly differently to some of the lunch-a-lot people that I also love, and I'm sure you're regularly on my channel, and all you want to do is go out there and have a luxury lunch, whereas some of these guys might be using it as a tender to their race boat, hauling gear, going out and watching the racing, and they just want something a little bit more rugged. So I think if you're the sort of person that sees the value in tubes and being able to pull up alongside a sailing yacht or a motorboat, or raft up in a whole bunch of boats, say racked up on a dock like this, bumping into each other, and you want the convenience that offers, but you also recognize what an aluminium construction can do for you. You appreciate that, yes, the look of the Worlds is not going to be as smooth and as beautiful and what you can achieve on fiberglass, but the rigidity and the fact that you can pull up, up on a lot more beaches and be a little bit less worried about what's below the waterline. If that's you, then that's when I believe you're going to get a lot of value out of this thing. That 26 degrees of dead rise, that was noticeable today. So I think I would really treat this thing like the 4x4 of the sea. You can load it up with toys, get out there and have a hell of a good time and not worry about it so much, just hose it down at the end of the day and go off and do something else. It's not so delicate that you need to treat it like cotton wool the whole time. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I've got 10 cents more, but I'm going to put that on Patreon because there's always more to say. And I think that's the place to do it. That's where you can talk to me. And I hope you got a lot of value. If you did, please like, subscribe, share it with your mates. And I'll pop a video of a similar boat for you to do your own research up on the screen right now. Get over there and have a look and see you in that one. Cheers, guys. This is a very, very nice hull for rough water. It's better than a lot of the ribs that I have tested for choppy conditions. You do notice that 26 degrees. I want you to consider as to how you're going to use the boat